Hello, friends of True Health Tuesday. Welcome back. Let me just get my microphone connected. I forgot to connect my microphone, so I apologize for that. It's been a little crazy today, but thank you for being with us again. There we go. Let me know if my microphone sounds good, okay? So here we go. Yeah, there we go. I think the microphone sounds better usually than no microphone. But if it doesn't sound good, let me know. I'm gonna open the chat thing so I can see who's connected and who's not connected. Let me know where you're connected from, and welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to do real detox, and I know that is a subject that is very interesting for a lot of people. So welcome tonight to True Health Tuesday. And I'm so happy you're connected today because detox, we should have done it earlier in the year. A lot of people like to do detox. First thing, the new year, a lot of people like to do detox. But I would like to talk about this because some people have maybe a misconception about detox. Should we do detox? A lot of people have questions. Because you hear a lot of detox things, right? And a lot of people ask me, sister, what do you think about this? Should we do this colon cleanse or, this or that? So I think there's a lot of questions out there. People have questions about, should we do this kind of detox? Should we not? And I've seen also out there a lot of things. So I think it's something that we should talk about just in case people have questions. And of course, you can put your questions in the chat. I'll be checking. I'll cover some of the things that I have seen out there. And of course, some of the things that I don't think are necessarily up to par or good. And some of the things that I think are real, the real detox, how to do real detox. So put your questions in the chat if you have any comments, questions, or anything like that. And I also want to cover some of the things that were kind of left unsaid last week, or not last week. I always keep saying last week, last presentation, because it was 2 weeks ago. But as always, let's start with prayer. That's always the most important thing to do before we get started, okay? So let's start with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for giving us the chance to connect through this technology that allows us to talk together, come together wherever we are in the world, and also to have this presentation recorded so that people can watch it later wherever they are. And we ask for your blessing, we ask for your presence, and that whatever we say may be for your honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So before we get started with anything, you guys know me, those of you who have been with us before. I just want to start with a disclaimer that this is not meant to be any type of therapy. We don't want to give you some kind of medical advice. It's more like educational. So take this as more general than anything else. For your education and just for your information. And also, spiritually speaking, as you know, I use Isaiah 8:20 as my guide, and I hope you do too. And this is what Isaiah 8:20 says to the law and the testimony. If they speak not according to this, it is because there's no light in them. Meaning, if it's not according, this is how I interpret it anyway, and I think some of you do too. If it's not according to the Bible and spirit of prophecy, then it doesn't have any light. This is how I interpret it. Also, as you probably know me, and you remember how I do things, I talk a lot about science. I'm a science nerd. And as you see in this hierarchy, expert opinion, or also anecdotal evidence. So if you hear people say, oh, I tried this cleanse and it worked great for me, I got cured. that's not really a good quality evidence. You have to go to, I think, better scientific evidence. And actually, I'm going to read something to you. In fact, I'm going to show you this book because I think I'm going to start talking a lot more from this book. Do you see it? Spiritualistic Practices in Healing. This is from a doctor, Adventist doctor. I don't know if he's still alive. Dr. Edwin Noyce. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name. He's a graduate from Loma Linda University in 1959. So it's a while ago. He's retired in 2000. So I don't know if he's still around. He practiced in Forest Grove, Oregon, served the U.S. Army. Anyway, went Vietnam veteran. Him and his wife participated in short-term mission in Thailand. He had an MPH. Anyway, health MPH from Loma Linda. Anyway, he wrote this amazing blog. And I highly recommend it. I think he goes a little bit too hard on the 12 steps. That's the only thing where I'm like, okay, I think the 12-step programs actually do help people. But astrology, acupuncture, iridology, yoga, oh my goodness, hypnosis, magnets, Tai Chi, I don't know how you pronounce it, Qigong, Shiatsu, applied kinesiology, vibrational medicine, transcendental meditation, reflexology, homeopathy, martial arts, aromatherapy, biofeedback, chakras, Ayurveda, dowsing and divination, secular psychology, maybe that's a little bit too harsh too, 12 steps, Reiki, essential oils, crystal therapy. My goodness. Anyway, there's also an appendix, and he talks about colon cleansing. Okay, I'm going to read real quick something up from here, okay? This is because he's actually quoting from General Conference Health Institutions Working Policy 2009, Section FH 20-3, something like that. Okay, look. Adventist healthcare and ministries are to promote only those practices based upon Bible. Let's go back, you guys. Let's go back. Bible and spirit of prophecy or evidence-based. Go forward. Evidence-based methods of disease prevention, treatment, and health maintenance. Okay. Evidence-based means there is an accepted body of peer-reviewed, statistically significant evidence that raises probability of effectiveness. Jeez, I need my reading glasses. Sorry, you guys. Effectiveness to a scientifically convincing level. All right. Practices without a firm evidence base and not based on the Bible or spirit of prophecy, last slide, including, though not limited to, this is from the General Conference, okay? He's quoting it here, but it says from the General Conference, including but not limited to aromatherapy, cranial sacral therapy. I don't even know what that is, you guys. Homeopathy, hypnotherapy, iridology, magnets, methods of aligning forces of energy, pendulum diagnosis, untested herbal remedies, reflexology, and repetitive colonic irrigations. Therapeutic touch and urine therapy should be discouraged. So I wanted to start that off because they're talking here about the colonic part, all right? So we're going to be talking some about that a little bit, some of this detox stuff. And later it talks about practices that are not biblical or in harmony with the spirit of prophecy writings, or have not been shown to be true by peer-reviewed scientific literature. Having undergone randomly selected double-blind placebo-controlled crossover testing in large numbers showing statistically significant. So anyway, so that's why I show you this pyramid. I just wanted to bring that up again because I think that's important. And in fact, Ellen White says, as I've showed you many times, a knowledge of science of all kinds is power, and it is the purpose of God that advanced science shall be taught in our schools as preparation for the work that is to precede the closing scenes of Earth's history. You know why? Because of this, you guys. Because Satan is preparing for huge deceit. And he's preparing, as you know, the counterfeit, not just counterfeit coming of Jesus, counterfeit health message through miracles and signs and miracle healing. He's already doing miracle or counterfeit health message through this. If we're not alert, if we don't know what we should be believing, we are gonna be falling into believing things that are founded on, you know what it's founded on? I really should have been reading this more like all the time. This is what it's founded on. Paganism. Mystery Babylon. Most religions that are not Christian are based on this duality of good and evil, male, female, positive, negative, yin and yang. It's right here. So if we're not careful, if we're not well-founded on the spirit of prophecy and the Bible, and look at what spirit of prophecy says. We need to be well-founded in scientific evidence. We might fall in a huge trap and not know that we are in a huge trap. So that's why we need to keep our eyes wide open and be careful. Be really careful. Even when you hear things are natural. Join us for this detox. And you're like, oh, this natural. Sounds great. Mindful eating. Even that sounds great. Talks about that here. Mindful consciousness. Oh, that sounds nice. Consciousness. Bring your energy in. That universal energy, consciousness, all of a sudden you don't even know what you're falling into. You don't even know. You see? You have to be familiar with that counterfeit message so you don't know, so you are aware of it and not fall into it. Because let me tell you, that could even happen at work. It could even happen at work. Oh, let's do some yoga, some meditation. Yes, you guys. So anyway, you've probably seen this kind of thing. How to cleanse your, this was from last year, of course. This was a year ago. After the festivities, let's just have a cleanse, right? What's wrong with that? Sounds great, doesn't it? But is detox effective? Is it necessary? Sounds like it is, because if you think about it, this world nowadays is full of terrible amount of toxins everywhere, pollution, plastic, all the GMOs in our food, cleaning products, soaps, and even the stuff we use in the kitchen to clean, right? Our clothes even. These fabrics are made out of this synthetic stuff, the paint in our walls. Everything. We're surrounded by stuff that is just chemicals, aren't we? If we think about it. Drugs, sometimes medicines themselves are chemicals, environmental pollutants, heavy metals. You guys, a year and some ago, maybe a year and a month ago, there was a huge fire 8 miles from here in a battery plant. There was this, um, the same kind of batteries you have in like electric cars, but it was thousands of batteries in that plant. We didn't even know. No one told the community that they were putting this huge plant in this community, and the thing went on fire. Lithium batteries. That's what I forgot what they were called. Lithium batteries. No one told the community that we had the biggest lithium battery storage plant in the world right around the corner, basically 8 miles from me, but some people live right next to it. And when lithium batteries ignite, you can't put out the fire, because if you put water on them, they go even more on fire. You can't just put out the fire. You have to let it burn up on its own. And the thing was a huge plume of smoke all over the place. It got even to here. We all had like this metallic taste in our mouth. We started having gastrointestinal issues. Luckily, I didn't have any leftover long-term health issues, but some of our neighbors did and still do to this day, have rashes and stuff, all kinds of long-term, because there's 3 heavy metals that were left in the soil, in the water. The EPA came over here. They, did a little bit of testing. Oh, there's nothing. No problem. There's no heavy metals. There's 3, because people from the university in San Jose came and did some testing. They had done some testing before the fire, so they had some baseline numbers. And then they come over after the fire, tested some more, and sure enough, there were 3 heavy metals left over after the fire. And of course, there's mercury, as you know, in the water, in the ocean. And people are eating fish and they think, oh, fish is really good. But fish is the most contaminated food nowadays. Of course, people tell me, oh, but Jesus ate fish. Of course, Jesus ate fish 2,000 years ago when there was no mercury in the water. But now fish is the most contaminated food you can eat. Not just because of the mercury, but because of all the contaminants that end up in the water. All these pesticides, where do they end up? In the water. All these environmental, industrial chemicals, where do they end up? In the water. Everything ends up in the water, in the oceans. Plastic, as you know now, that's another thing. So people who eat seafood or drink water, not from metal, but from plastic bottles, they say, as you probably heard me this before, right? Say this before. What they're saying now is that if you drink water from plastic bottles and eat seafood, you're consuming about the equivalent of a credit card's worth of plastic a week. A week, you guys, of nanoplastics. So you would think you need a detox after that, don't you? And of course, there's all this stuff. You can't even see it. Let me make it bigger for you. Whoa. This is like a horror movie of all these chemicals just in your house. Just in your house. How are we going to get rid of all this stuff? Whoa, you guys. This is scary. So there's these PCBs. What in the world are PCBs? Polychlorinated biphenyls are a group of man-made synthetic organic chemicals consisting of carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine atoms produced from 1929 until they were banned in the United States in 1979. But due to their non-flammability and stability, they were widely used in electrical equipment and plastic and paint. They're highly toxic, and their environmental contaminants, they bioaccumulate. They stay in the environment. And unfortunately, they stay in the fat of animals that are exposed to these in the environment. Yes, you want to see? Right here. This is where we're getting them from. This is where we're getting them from. This is where children are getting them from. Do you see? And where adults are getting them from, mostly from animal foods, because these contaminants get stored in the fat of us and of the animals. So when we consume animal foods, unfortunately, we get them from animals. Mostly, the bigger the animal, the more they bioaccumulate. They go up the chain also, and also they have more fat in their bodies. Therefore, we get more of it the bigger the animals as well. And also in the fish, because there's so much stuff that ends up in the oceans that more of it accumulates in fish as well. So you see where PCBs, we're getting them from as adults and children, from fish mostly. But a lot of it from meat, both for us and children. But all these other DDT, still in the ocean, you guys. It was banned in 1972. And there was a study done several years ago, maybe more than 10 or 15 years ago, out of the Catalina Islands. That's in LA, Los Angeles. This was banned in 1972, DDT. And just a few years ago, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, they tested some fish off of Catalina Islands in Los Angeles, and the fish there still has DDT. I'm sure those fish are not 54 years old. But these are forever chemicals. They're very stable. They stay in the environment. Terrible. Sorry, I don't mean to scare you. It's just that they do. They stay in the environment. So there's this phenomenon called bioaccumulation and also biomagnification. These are two different things. So bioaccumulation is the increase in concentration of the pollutant in an organism. So the little fish, so this is what happened with these three heavy metals. One was nickel, cadmium, and manganese. These are the three that fell off of that big plume of smoke right here in the Monterey Peninsula because of the biggest fire of a lithium battery plant. You can look it up, you guys. Happened in February or end of January of 2025. Biggest lithium battery storage plant in the country, right here in the Monterey Bay. Went up in flames last year. 3 heavy metals. Boom. So it fell into the ocean in the Elkhorn Slough, which is a protected water area because it's supposed to be natural water, whatever. So it's protected. And these heavy metals fell into the water, into the bottom of the slough and into the bottom of the ocean right off of the bay. And so since it was at the bottom of the water, the little tiny worms and little snails or whatever that were in the bottom of the ocean started absorbing these heavy metals into their bodies. And the tiny fish were eating these worms. And then the medium, so they were getting more concentration because throughout their lives, the short little lives of the fish, they were eating many, many worms. So now they were getting more concentration than a single worm has. You see what I mean? So they were getting more concentration. And then the medium fish are eating the little fish. So now throughout their lives of the medium fish, they're eating many, many, many of those little fish. So now they're getting higher concentration than the little fish. And now the bigger fish are eating the medium fish. So throughout their life of the larger fish, they're eating all these medium fish that have higher concentration than the little fish. You see what I'm saying? That's called bioaccumulation. Biomagnification is increasing the concentration of the pollutant in a food chain. So one is an increase in concentration in an organism, a single organism, but then the food chain accumulation is the biomagnification. That's what's happening here. And it's what's happening right here off the coast, not just with mercury. Mercury is just one heavy metal. And now we have 4 mercury plus the other 3 right off of the coast here for us. But who knows what other chemicals there are also out there, because let me show you another scary thing. This is not to scare you, because I'm going to give you real detox coming up, okay? Food and chemical toxicology, you can look this up, okay? So I'm just giving you the name so that you can do a little and look it up. Chronic dietary risk characterization for pesticides residues. So do you want to know what pesticides residues are in our food if you're not buying organic or growing your own? Of course, if you can grow your own, that would be ideal. Second ideal is organic. All right, but if you can't do any of those, you can wash your produce. You know how you wash your produce? You submerge it in water with either lots of salt. Of course, you're going to rinse off the salt later, or vinegar, or both. I guess you can combine them. And that will eliminate 95% or so, more or less, of those pesticides, which, by the way, this study gives you a huge list of the pesticides. And let me show you just letter A. This is just letter A of the pesticides, you guys. Just letter A. So all these pesticides go through which organ in your body? What organ do you think? Because all the detoxification in your body starts in one wonderful organ. We have an amazing organ in the body called the liver. So the toxins come through several avenues, if you will. They enter through the lungs. Let's say you came in late. Somebody just put came in late. If I save the video, you can watch it later because everything gets recorded. So you just go back and watch it from the beginning. No problem. So someone responded, liver. Yes, Candy. Thank you very much. Oh, you're the same person. Thank you, Candy. Yes, so you can watch from the beginning. No problem, Candy. Thank you very much for coming. So we are breathing in polluted air, let's say, is coming through your lungs. The lungs try to do some of the filtering, but not everything, of course. Or through your skin, you guys. Of course, the skin can absorb stuff. Or you're eating stuff, let's say all these pesticides. So hopefully not. Hopefully you wash them. But then also we have elimination. So you're welcome. You're welcome. No problem. Thank you for coming. So of course you're eliminating toxins through your lungs, through your gut, obviously, through your skin, through your kidneys. So these are your elimination organs. God made our body to detox us. Isn't that amazing? God gave us detox organs. The liver is fantastic, by the way, because the liver, have you ever seen a liver? I've seen a liver. They're amazing. The third, I like that. Yes, it's amazing. It's really, really amazing. Look at all the detoxification that it can do. Of course, it can do so many other things. I'm just listing some of them, by the way. It produces cholesterol because it uses that cholesterol for so many things, such as making hormones. It makes bile, which is also made out of cholesterol. But look, it stores glycogen. Like here's the production of bile again. Just so many things. I'm not going to go through them. But up there in the corner, on the left, it talks about detoxification of drugs, alcohol. Don't drink alcohol, you guys. Just because it detoxifies it doesn't mean it doesn't, it's not a poison. It's a poison for your liver, as you know, also for the drugs. So let's not do it. But fatty acids, steroids, ammonia, it converts it into urea, as you know, environmental toxins and allergens. So our Our liver is really an amazing, amazing, amazing organ. It really is really remarkable. So this is our one of our main detox organs. Okay. So when we speak of detox, of course, as you know, many people take advantage of this and say, well, let's just do this detox. So let's talk about this whole idea of detox first, and then let's go into what a real detox is. Okay. So as you know, there's all these plants out there. Even if you Google the word detox or detox diet, you're gonna see all kinds of crazy stuff, honestly. And there's a lot of diets out there. Some of them are quite, I would say, they're pretty extreme. Let's just say the word extreme. Some of them, and there's pros and cons. As let me make it bigger if I can. I'd say there's a lot of pros and cons. Some of them might, of course, help you with weight loss, but that's because some of them are extremely low in calories. They're very restrictive, and I don't think you can do them long term, obviously, because they're very inadequate in calories. So they're meant to be very short term. So they could be almost like a fast, if you will. So in that sense, it could be almost like a break for a little while. So it can kind of reset your system. It can help you to, it's almost like a fast. I would say if you do this detox diet, some of these detox diets like a fast, it could be potentially beneficial, but at the same time, you have to be aware of some of what can happen with a fast. So you have to, at the same time, be aware of those things and just be careful with them. Okay, so what I want to really talk about today is how to do really true fasting, or no, sorry, true detoxing. Okay, so how does your body actually eliminate toxins through the way God gave us? Do you want to know how our body is designed to eliminate toxins and give you want to know, like, do you want me to give you the actual evidence-based ways, the way God designed our body, which that's what makes me, I don't know about you, but that's what makes me super duper, like I get excited about this, because when I see how the body is designed, like that physiological part of it, oh, I get so excited. I don't know about you guys, but when I see like the design part of it, oh, I get excited. You probably notice how excited I get. So I can talk for hours. So I need to sometimes like control myself. So here we go. I'm going to give you five elements, 5 steps, if you will, 5 ways to do true detox. So you can share with your friends as well. Okay. So you can take notes. You can watch this later slowly, so you can look up the studies and you can share with people and tell people, you know what, this is actually evidence-based. Some of the other stuff you see online, social media or whatever, might not be evidence-based. When you want to do real detox, you want to be evidence-based, because other stuff, might not work. Who knows if it works? Might be a waste of time, might be a waste of money, especially. But when you do something that there's actual evidence behind it, you're doing the right thing. Okay. So, número uno, a plant-based diet. You can never go wrong with God's diet, right? To the law and the testimony. If it's in the Bible, if it's in the first page of the Bible, if it's in the original plan for humans, literally creation, what God gave to the first couple when God created the world, how can you go wrong? How can you go wrong? Oh, that reminds me what I wanted to share with you guys. So last week, we had a friend connect, and that person was being a little challenging, and that's okay, because we want to have discussions. And we were talking about, if you remember, we were talking about phytonutrients and antioxidants. And honestly, it's my own fault that I had not been keeping up with the fact that the animal food industry had been really busy for the last 5 years publishing studies to say that animal foods have antioxidants and have phytochemicals. So I hadn't really been keeping up with it. So I want to share with something with you guys really quick, okay? Because I didn't know. Okay, wait, hold on one second. So I figured out how to do this. Okay, share screen. Okay, so I wanted to share something. Okay, so here it is. Share. So here's a study. So let me show you, because I scrolled all the way down, but I wanted to show you first the title, and it's so long. Look at this super long study. Okay, but let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. See, it says plant-derived antioxidants in meat and meat products, and you're like, wait, how is this antioxidants in meat products? Okay, but here's the thing. They talk about all these antioxidants in meat product, blah, 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 all the chemistry and stuff, okay? But then, here's the thing. If you go all the way, see, this is the kind of work that only a person who has, gone through all the schooling, blah, 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 to really know what they're doing. You have to go all the way down, you guys. Don't waste your time with the actual funding. This is where you have to go. This is where the truth is. See, funding. Now, this work was supported by the Agri-Food Research and Innovation Center, KE, within the blah, blah, blah. And you're like, who the heck is this? All right, well, okay. So then I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to take this one out because then I want to show you another one. So let me get rid of this one. Hide. All right. Now I want to show you, see if I can actually do it, because I am barely learning how to do this. Okay. So then I actually looked up who those people who are funding actually are. Here they are. They don't even have a website, you guys. It's this Greek organization, and they have to do with agri-food sector. So it's the actual food sector, agricultural food sector. They have this weird organization that doesn't even have a website. They literally don't have a website. If you go to there's a link that Google provides. There's this weird European thing, and it talks about market failure. Due to market failure, they literally say market failure. They're doing this kind of research to try to enhance their products, blah, blah, blah. You have to see it for yourself. So anyway, there's that. Okay. Then I want to show you something else. Oh, it won't let me share anymore. I think there's an overload of, I don't know how to get rid of it. But there's more. If you just do the search, oh, here it is. Okay, stop sharing, stop sharing, stop sharing. Okay, here we go. Screen share. Now I want to show you real quick. This one is the one I really wanted to show you, because this one, antioxidants in meat and poultry. And if you look at here, it literally says these antioxidants they were added. They're added. They are added to the meat products. Just read that here. Okay, they're added. Okay, so there's that. Stop sharing. Then the last thing I want to show you, just so you know, okay, so if people tell you these things, you know what to say. Okay, so I'm giving you some talking points. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is the phytochemicals, because this is another point that this person was saying. Oh, I scrolled all the way down, but I'm going to show you the bottom part first, and then we'll scroll up, okay? Because this is the bottom part of the study, And as you see here, conflicts of interest, you guys. Let me see. Conflicts of interest. Do you see here the conflicts of interest? These are the authors. I don't know if you can read it. Beef industry is paying for this study, you guys. All right? Okay. I don't know if you notice this, but I try to highlight it so you could see it. The beef industry is paying for this study. Okay. I'm going to make it smaller so we can scroll up and see the title of the study so you can see it. So it's talking about how beef, blah, 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 has phytochemicals. Also healthy for you. How nice. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. See how long these things are? You're going to get lost if you try to read it. So here it is. Measuring phytochemical richness in meat, grass-fed, blah, 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 blah. By the way, some of it is supplemented. Okay. Phytochemical in beef. So I didn't know they were supplementing. All right. I didn't know. So now I know. Okay. So I learned something. So that's good. I learned something. Okay. There it is. But it's paid by the beef industry. Some of it is supplemented. And by the way, if you actually look at it, if you see the content of what they're saying, first of all, you're getting it secondhand. The real stuff is in the plants. And also, you're getting orders of magnitude more from the actual plants. So my point is, this is the real deal, you guys. This is the real deal, okay? So back to what we were talking about. Antioxidants from the actual source, in my view, if you want to really get the real stuff, because you get it like orders of magnitude more amount in the plants. And also they have an anti-inflammatory effect if you get it from plants, because they actually reduce oxidative stress. Whereas if you get it from the animals, you're getting the free radicals that have a pro-inflammatory effect. Okay, so here we go. Antioxidants reduce inflammation and oxidative stress because they reduce the free radicals. All the contamination that comes from the animal food that we just saw before, remember all the pesticides that are found in the animal foods, they increase the free radicals, increase inflammation, increase oxidative stress. I don't recommend it. Okay. So what are free radicals? These are these electrons, basically molecules are robbing electrons from some of these other molecules, and they're causing DNA damage is basically what they're doing. So they're causing damage. But the antioxidants are donating electrons, so they're preventing this damage. They're wonderful. So that's what we want. We want this food. And you know where the antioxidants are? Let's go back real quick. Boom, boom. The colors. It's the pigments. It's the pigments. So if you see, do you see the purple, the orange, the green, the red, the yellow? Those are pigments. So when you see colors in the food, remember, pigments. So you want to eat the rainbow. It's for reals. When they tell you eat the rainbow, that's why. It's the pigments in the plants. All right, let's go to the next. Plant-based diet reduces oxidative stress more than the conventional diet with the same amount of calories and even the micronutrients. So they're basically matching for fat, protein, and carbs. But when you do it plant-based instead of regular, you get more reduction of oxidative stress. So let me put it bigger so you can see. It says right there, I don't know if you could see it because I'm in the picture. So let me take myself out of the picture. It says really big. It says the results show that the plant-based diet is efficient in ameliorating a postprandial oxidative after meals. That's what it means. Oxidative and there's too many words that are hard to understand. It's basically what they're saying is it takes out the oxidative stress better than the conventional meal, the conventional diet, indicating that there's a therapeutic potential in the plant-based diet in improving, and they're talking about type 2 diabetes here, you guys, and obese patients. That's what they're talking about. Isn't that amazing? That's wonderful. Oh, and you know what? I'm so sorry. I forgot to translate one of my slides. I forgot to translate one of my slides. I gave this presentation in Spanish the first time. So as you see, I forgot to translate. Oh, and Candy has been talking this whole time. I'm so sorry, Candy. Let me just talk about this real quick. It says the anti-inflammatory effect of plant-based diets. This is basically what it says right there on the title of this of the study. It's basically what it's talking about, right? So it's basically that what it says. So back to this point I was saying before is the colors. So let's see, Candy. We were talking about what they wanted you to believe. So I think that's what you were talking about. If you have osteoarthritis of any kind of arthritis, plant-based is a must. Totally agree with you. Totally. It is best for most people. Absolutely. And you're satisfied longer than meat diet. Totally agree with you. Thank you so much. Absolutely. You are 100% correct. So thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Yes, absolutely. So this one is talking about detoxification enzymes and chemo prevention. What's chemo prevention? Chemo prevention is basically the preventive effect of these chemo or not, basically phytochemicals. It's phytochemicals, it's the chemicals in the food. And then it says the following in this study. So let me see if I can make it bigger too so you can see the whole thing. You know what it's talking about here? Sulforaphane. It talks about many more things, okay? So sulforaphane is one of those phytochemicals. So sulforaphane says has been isolated from broccoli. There's a wonderful phytochemical for you. Broccoli, also, by the way, broccoli sprouts at 10 to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli, if you didn't know. Okay, so sulforaphane has been isolated from broccoli and identified as a potent monofunctional inducer of phase 2 detoxification enzymes. Wow, detoxification from broccoli. Wow, amazing. So the point is that you want to eat, do you see the spectrum over here? Spectrum of processing. More to the left is less processed, right? Unprocessed. And then you start moving to the right, more processed. So there's unprocessed and then minimally processed. And that's okay too. So let's say you have tofu. That's a very good example of a minimally processed food. If you can make it at home, it's minimally processed. Can you make tofu at home? Actually, yes, you can, because you can make soy milk at home. You can make the soy milk, and then you can make the tofu out of the soy milk. That's a minimally processed food. Okay? So you can make peanut butter at home. Of course you can. Just take the peanuts, grind them up, boom, peanut butter. So minimally processed. But if you go to the store, okay, and you take those other brands of peanut butter, you know what I'm talking about, right? Those yummy ones with all the sugar, right? All right, the very smooth ones, right? Of course they're yummy, but take that brand. I'm not going to name the brand, but you know what I'm talking about. Take that brand, yummy brand, and look at the back and look at the ingredient list. It's not just peanuts. You're going to find a lot of ingredients there. What are those other ingredients? It's the sugar. Why do they have hydrogenated fats? Those other peanut butters. What for? Well, that's what makes it nice and smooth. And you know what? Do you remember? Was it with you guys? I don't remember. I do so many presentations. But I think it was with you guys that I was talking about how some people, or maybe it was another presentation. It was another presentation. But I was talking about how some people, at WIC, for instance, when I used to work at WIC, and they would get free peanut butter. And it was the natural. Have you seen those natural peanut butters at the store that say natural? Well, they would get this free peanut butter and it had like oil on top. Have you seen that kind? And the ladies would throw it away thinking it had gone bad. And I was like, No. That's the good peanut butter. The kind that separates, that's the good peanut butter. All you have to do is go home and get a spoon, even a knife, just stir it. That's the peanut butter you want. If it separates, that's the peanut butter you want. It's the natural because it should separate. The kind that doesn't separate is because they've added that hydrogenated fat. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. Anyway, and then comes the processed food, cereals, the pasta. That's a little bit more processed, especially white pasta, white breads. And then you have the ultra processed food. I think the thing on top, it has the corn up there. It looks like a syrup. You know what that is, right? The what's it called again? The corn syrup, but I forget the name right now. Somebody put it in the chat. The corn syrup that I'm thinking about that I forget now. High fructose. That's it. High fructose corn syrup. That, you guys, you know that's GMO, right? Anything that has, in fact, anything that has corn starch, corn syrup, whatever, that's GMO. You know, right? Anything that has vegetable oil in it, it's GMO soybeans. You know that? Okay. So just about like 80% of the stuff in this grocery stores is GMO stuff. I hope you know. Fructose. Yes, fructose. That's it. Okay. So I have a question. Does nutritional yeast complicate candida? It's dead yeast. So I don't think so. So nutritional yeast has been dried up. The yeast is basically killed. So it should not complicate it. Is dead yeast. So it shouldn't. It will not rise bread. That's why it won't, because it's been killed off, basically. All right. So now animal foods, on the other hand, have these things. Okay, as we said before, toxins, pro-inflammatory fats and proteins, and they do not have fiber. And the fiber helps to detox your body. The fiber. All right. Okay, we talked too much about the food. Let's move on to number 2. This one will go really quick. You're welcome, Candy. You're very welcome. Okay, drink water. That seems so obvious, but honestly, people don't even think about this as detox, but it is. Let me show you with the evidence, Water, Hydration, and Health, a paper published by the NIH. And let me show you right here. Let me just, should I make it bigger so you can see? Right there. As noted above, this is talking about kidney function. The kidney is crucial in regulating water balance and blood pressure, as well as, so obvious, but needs to be said sometimes, as removing waste from the body. That's what your kidneys do. But if you're not drinking water, it's not going to happen. You need to drink enough water because this is what they do. Look at it. Let me remove myself so you can see it better. Blood is filtered and waste is removed. Waste is sent to the bladder. That's what your kidneys do. They're filters. But if we're not drinking the water, it's not going to happen. So you need to, numero uno, avoid being dehydrated. But how are you going to know? Well, there's signs of dehydration, right? There's signs of mild dehydration up there on the left, thirst, dry mouth, all this stuff, headache, severe dehydration. But honestly, do not wait until you have any signs of dehydration, honestly. The best way to know is through your urine. Did you know? Through your urine. It always should be the top colors, maybe the top 3, no darker. That's how you know. If it's any darker than the top 3 colors, you are becoming dehydrated. So that's how you know. Do not wait until you have any other signs of dehydration, because once you have any signs, you're already dehydrated. Don't wait. Don't wait. Use this chart. That's it. Okay? All right. Number 3, sleep. Did you know sleep is detoxing? You didn't know. I bet you didn't know. Or did you? I hope you did. Well, if you didn't know, today you're going to learn something new. Clear, yes, clear urine. Thank you, Candy. Yes, clear urine. That's how it should be. Clear, not, hopefully not cloudy. All right, let's talk about sleep. Did you know that the brain eliminates waste during sleep? I don't know if you knew this. There's a system called the lymphatic system through which the brain eliminates through the cerebrospinal fluid. It flushes out waste at night. But you have to be sleeping. It's not going to happen if you're awake, doing Facebook, playing games, or something else. Okay? It's not going to happen if you're awake. You have to be sleeping. All right? So let me show you what I'm talking about. Look at this. Sleep drives metabolite clearance from the adult brain. Interesting. So it's talking about the restorative function of sleep, and it may be a consequence of the enhanced removal of potentially neurotoxic waste products that accumulate in the awake central nervous system. But you have to be asleep. If you are awake at night, especially if you go to bed late too, this is not going to be happening. Your body has this lymphatic system where your CSF, that cerebral spinal fluid, flushes out. You know, this was only found a few years ago. It's not that it's not been that many years since we found literally that this system exists. It's really cool. And so anyway, there's so many functions of sleep. So sleep helps the brain, and honestly the entire body, obviously, to eliminate toxic molecules. And it tends to increase also the blood flow in oxygen and nutrients, which leads to the growth of new tissues. So here we see the impact of sleep on stem cell regenerative capacity. So the tissue regeneration can help some parts of the body to recover from damage sustained during the day. This is what happened here. So hormones increase, cytokines decrease. So cytokines are these molecules are inflammatory. Blood pressure decreases, body temperature decreases at night, as you know, respiration decreases. So all these physiological changes happen at night. So it gives your stem cells that regenerative capacity in order for to create new healthy tissues, basically, for your body to have that capacity to create those healthy tissues. And this is obeying that circadian clock that our body has. That's why God created our bodies so wonderfully. We are wonderfully made. Our bodies are really wonderfully made. It's no joke. We really do have this wonderful body. Really, really wonderful body that God made. And so the hormones released during sleep, detoxification, basically help repair the body, as you see here. So do you see the circadian rhythm? It has the light and the night, right? The sun and the moon. So healthy, and you know what? I'm preaching to myself, you guys, okay? This is probably my worst weak point. So I'm preaching to myself right here. Trust me. Healthy sleep habits can also reduce the risks of certain neurological disorders. Of course, it's helping the brain. So Alzheimer's disease, this is reduction of risk, okay? This is because the proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease tend to decrease when you get enough sleep. So get enough sleep. All right. Examples of circadian interactions in regenerating systems right here. Circadian rhythm has been shown to impact diurnal differences in regenerations in various types of tissues. So in the skin, there's this migration of these types of cells to wounds. So the first thing you see up on top is wound healing happens better when you get enough sleep, basically because there's these cells that migrate at night. Do you see it right there? At night, these cells migrate to that wound and basically help to heal better. Isn't that amazing? Okay, then the GI damage tissue that also regenerates better at night under circadian control. Amazing. There's so much more. We don't really have the time to do all the wonderful stuff that I would love to spend more time on, but you get the idea. You basically get the point. Okay. Number 4 is exercise. What about this is a really good question. What about people who work at night? And it's very, very unfortunate to be honest. And is that people who work at night are at higher risk for a lot of diseases like diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and others because of this disruption of the circadian rhythm. So some of the things that people recommend, some of the experts recommend to do for people who work at night is, for instance, to do not eat during your work hours. So don't eat at night. So eat before your work, and then when you get home in the morning, for instance, try not to eat during your shift. And this is the hardest part. And I totally recognize and acknowledge the difficulty for people who work at night to keep like a schedule of eating and sleeping at the same time every night. And like I have a cousin who's a nurse, for instance, and he doesn't work even the same days every week. Like one week it would be certain days, the next week it would be totally different days. So how do you work? How do you sleep at the same time every day, and eat every day at the same time? That would be the ideal. That would be how you mitigate that issue if you can. And I know that's hard. But if you can get that seniority and get out of it working at night, that would be also your other option. But honestly, if you're going to work at night and you can basically, even the days you don't work, try to keep a similar schedule or something like that. That would be the other way to do it. And I know that's hard. So anyway, exercise. Let's move on to exercise. So did you know exercise helps the brain also to eliminate toxins? So it's basically the same system we were just talking about. So it's called the glymphatic system. Do you see it right there? Glymphatic. Let me make it a little bit bigger. The voluntary running, so running basically, enhances the glymphatic influx in awake behaving. Basically, this is done with mice, but it's the same thing with humans. So let me show you. This. This is the graphic from that same. From this study that I just showed you. So research shows that exercise increases lymphatic cleansing in the brain, allowing the brain to work optimally. So what they're saying here is that exercise increases elimination of the brain waste. And the term lymphatic, and it was coined by this neuroscientist basically, because the system's depends on these glial cells that are in the brain. If you know any brain science, you would have heard this before. And the lymphatic system working together. And it's a waste cleansing pathways from the central nervous system, and not just in humans and other mammals too. And it removes extracellular proteins, excess fluids, waste products, from the peripheral tissues, and also the brain, and it's just, it happens at night. So I don't have too much time to talk about it, but sleep, that's what I really want to say. Uh, and exercise enhances it. Enhances it. It makes it happen better. As you know, there's two types of exercise. By the way, I did this slide twice. I don't know why. There are twice. Okay, there's two types of exercise. Cardiovascular, so all these exercises are wonderful. Walking, running, riding a bike, swimming, but also strength training. We need both. As you know, I hope you remember, I've talked about this before. Both are necessary because if we're not doing strength training, we are losing muscle mass every single year, every decade. In fact, for adults after the age of 30, we lose between 3 and 8% of our muscle mass every decade. All right? So we need to do both, or else we're going to be losing muscle mass. By the way, did you know that gardening helps you to do both? So there's a nut. Buy one little tomato plant. It's not going to do it. Got to do more than that. All right. So exercise. All right. This is the last one. Number 5, intermittent fasting. Did you know that it helps to detox? It has so many other benefits. We have talked about this many times. In fact, I've showed you this before. If you go to my fasting presentation, I've showed you this before. This very same study. And we talked about the insulin sensitivity. We talked about the blood pressure. And here it is. Oxidative stress. Again, it's that damage from the radicals, the free radicals. Okay, we talked about that. We also talked about this. Fat oxidation happens during fasting. Any type of fasting, of course. Intermittent fasting as well. Intermittent fasting I consider excellent, but the best kind of intermittent fasting, as you know, because I've told you this, is early time restricted eating, because it's the only type of fasting that is in harmony with your circadian rhythm. No other type of intermittent fasting is in harmony with your circadian rhythm. Early time restricted eating is the only type of intermittent fasting in harmony with your circadian rhythm. That's why it's the only one that consistently shows benefits for health. The kind of intermittent fasting where you skip breakfast does not show benefits consistently. Does not show benefits consistently. Some people lose weight, some people don't. Some people's cholesterol goes up. Some people's triglycerides goes up with that kind of intermittent fasting where you skip breakfast and stop eating at 8 or 9 p.m. But early time restricted eating consistently shows lowering of those biomarkers and fat oxidation. What is fat oxidation? Fat oxidation is burning of fat. Who doesn't like that? Well, if you're underweight, you probably don't want fat oxidation. But you don't have to lose fat. You just have to eat a lot of calories and then you won't lose fat. You still get the other benefits of early time restricted eating. But why is fat oxidation good if you want to detox? You want to know? Well, I've already kind of given you some clues, because I've kind of said that toxins get stored where? In the adipose tissue, aka fat. That's where these pollutants are stored in your body and also animal bodies. So When we gain weight, even more pollutants get stored in our bodies. You see how that works? This is how it works. If we gain weight and we're consuming a lot of pesticides or whatever, and we're exposed to a lot of pesticides in our environment, more pollutants get stored in our bodies. Not a good situation. But since we're doing all of these things, we're eating a healthy plant-based diet, we're drinking a lot of water, we're exercising, we're sleeping well, and we're going to fast. We're going to detox. Yes? Yes? Are you? Yes. The answer is yes. Okay. Look what intermittent fasting is going to do. It's going to get rid of all the cellular waste through something called autophagy. Have you heard of that? Autophagy. Wow, what a word. Autophagy. Autophagy is when the body gets rid of the cellular waste. So let me make it bigger so you can read. Let me see. Let's just blow it up like that. Can you read it? Well, I don't even know if I can read it. Let's see. It's so small. Let's see. A healthy practice. As a healthy practice, calorie restriction in the form of intermittent fasting. I already told you what kind is best. In several clinical settings has been reported to promote several health benefits, including priming the immune system. This dietary restriction also activates autophagy, a cell surveillance system that boosts the immune system. Who doesn't want that? So autophagy basically is when your body, it's a process that basically constantly renews our cells, preventing waste products and components that no longer work well from accumulating, okay? The tools that the cells uses for this are small microscopic vesicles called autophagosomes. These autophagosomes act in a similar way to modern domestic robot vacuum cleaners. So think about those robot vacuum cleaners that you put in your house and they're just constantly vacuuming. That's what they are. So they move through the cell interior and basically gobble up as if they were sucking up the accumulated dust. So they suckle up small portions of the cell, converting everything they find into energy and essential molecules. So this process occurs constantly at low intensity, but sufficient to keep our cells in optimal condition until it renews all its contents over time. Wow. Do you want autophagy? Then we have to fast. Now, let me be real honest with you. To really get a lot of autophagy, you have to fast for like 3 days. So if you want to like ramp up your autophagy, you can do water fast for 3 days, but that's hard. Or there's something called the fasting mimicking diet. Now there's a brand for it, there's a brand, like a company that does like a fasting mimicking diet brand, and you can buy it. It's kind of expensive, or you can look it up. There's kind of like do it yourself. You have to pay attention. You have to kind of count your calories and stuff. But you can do water fasting as well. And I wouldn't recommend doing it more than 3 days on your own, water fasting. So if you're going to do water fasting by yourself, just do 3 days. And then you can get some autophagy. You can get a little bit of autophagy if you do intermittent fasting, as in early time restricted feeding every day, but you have to do at least 16 hours of fast. Okay, so you could do it. You can do a little bit of autophagy, but it has to be 16-hour fast, I think. So It will have to be, a longer window of fasting every day, but you can do it. You can do it. Some people do it. And as I've said in the past, once you start doing it, so the first few days, of course, you're going to be hungry and people are like, no, I can't do it. Okay, the first few days is going to be a little bit more difficult, but after a few days, I think I've told you before, your hormones start to change. And so basically, what your body does is that the appetite hormones start to change, including GLP-1. Have you heard of that? GLP-1. That's a hormone in your body, by the way. You don't have to buy the medicine. There's a hormone in your body called GLP-1. Your body already makes it. And when you fast, when you do intermittent fasting, early time restricted eating, not the other types of fasting, early time restricted eating boosts GLP-1 production. I'm just saying. And it reduces appetite. I've showed you this before, so you have to go to my other presentations, okay? All right, so what kinds of fasting are there? There's many kinds, many ways to fast. Full day fasting, so that's one way to do it. In fact, some people like fast 1 day a week. I think that's a great thing to do. It's a very, very good habit, I think. Okay, so water fasting. Water fasting, we're going to talk about. In fact, I'm going to talk about it next. Okay, so full day of fasting, you can do basically a water fast for 1 day, once in a while. Some people do it once a week, once a month. That's up to you, whenever you want. So that's one option, okay? Some people do long water fasts. But if you're going to do at your house, I recommend 3 days, no more. Because longer than that should be done under medical supervision. That's what I recommend. Especially if you have any type of condition. By the way, people with diabetes should not fast. Just simply not fast. Okay? Unless you're under serious medical supervision, then go to a place that do. So there's a place here in California called, the name escapes me right now, True North. True North. So there's professionals that know how to supervise you. Okay, so if you're going to do a serious fasting, you have to go to a place where they have professionals that, not just medical professionals, people who know how to supervise a water fast. And they do a pre-fast diet. So it's not just start, you don't just start water fasting. No, you have to do a pre-fast diet, then you do the water fast, and then at the end you break the fast in a way that's the proper way. Okay, so True North, they will tell you how to do it. So if you're going to fast any time after 3 days by yourself, if you're going to fast any more than 3 days, basically, should be under medical supervision. Okay, yes, Dr. Goldhammer, that's right. So some people know what I'm talking about. That's correct, Dr. Goldhammer. So it's a wonderful place. I know people who've been there and who have done 2 weeks, 2 weeks of fasting, water fasting. And it could be very hard to do, but it can also be quite healing for some people. It could be very beneficial, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And it should be done under serious medical supervision. Okay, it's only under medical supervision. And it has to be done the proper way. But I think most people can do a water fast at home 1 day, maybe, no more than 3 days. And if you're diabetic or if you have any other conditions, ask your doctor. If you're diabetic, probably not. I wouldn't recommend it. So be careful. So not everybody can do fasting. Maybe a juice fast would be easier for some people, okay? If you're diabetic, do not do fruit juices, vegetable juices. In fact, I don't recommend for most people doing fruit juices alone. Think about this. How many oranges would you have to put in the juicer to get a glass full? of just oranges. Not one, it have to be like 4, 5, 6, depending on the size of the oranges, okay? And how much of the fiber would be left? Not much. So you would be drinking 4 or 5 oranges worth of sugar with none of the fiber. So I don't recommend fruit juices if you're going to do it like this. Maybe one fruit and mostly vegetables. That's how I recommend doing it, because the fruits, then you're processing them. You're literally processing them, and you're taking out the fiber and leaving the sugar. And then you're drinking the sugar and without its fiber. That's where I think it's a little bit problematic. Okay. But with vegetables, on the other hand, since they don't have sugar, they're very low in calorie. Some people, for instance, who have some disease, cancer, for instance, and they're having a very hard time getting enough calories, getting enough nutrients, this could be a way to consume tons of nutrients in a way that's easy to digest. So people who are having digestive issues that can't eat any food or having a hard time, like IBS people, people with IBD, irritable bowel disease, things like that, where you're having a hard time eating any food, this could be a good way to get lots of nutrients in an easy to digest form. So that's one way. If you want to fast, juice fast could be great. But again, I would do mostly vegetable juices just so that you're not consuming so much sugar. That's my recommendation. Okay. So that's another way to fast. You can do a fruit fast, but with the fiber. You're eating the whole fruit. By the way, okay, some people ask me about diabetes. Okay, I'm sorry I've been doing so long, but I think I need to tell you this, okay? Because I met a person who's diabetic. And she was telling me this story. I had never heard this before. So this person's sister lives in Southern California. And the church, the whole church was going to do a fast for a month, eating only fruit. It was going to be a fruit fast for a month. And this lady is a diabetic. And I don't remember if she was on insulin or not. I don't remember, but she was like serious type 2 diabetic. And she wanted to do the fast. And she was thinking, I can't do it. I'm going to get so sick because my sugars are going to go up or whatever. But she wanted to do the fast. And she was convicted. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to up my medicines. But I'm going to do it for God. And whatever happens, happens. And it was the exact opposite of what she thought. Her sugars went down. She needed less medication. I had never heard this before. I was flabbergasted because she was only eating fruit and her blood sugars went down. Now, I don't recommend doing this because this is an anecdote. So I don't have like all the science to say every diabetic should do this. I'm just giving you an anecdotal story of a person who only ate fruit, who was diabetic, and her blood sugars went down. Interesting. But she wasn't drinking fruit juice. She was eating fruit. I just think that's a very interesting story. So I'm sharing it with you. Okay? Okay, last. I think you can also do a fast eating raw. I think that's an interesting way. That was a miracle. Maybe it was a miracle. But I think it's an interesting, because it's God's food if you think about it. It's the Garden of Eden food. So there you go. Anyway, so if we start thinking about all these things, the stress, why is this in Spanish? I don't even know. I'm going to skip it, you guys. But all these things, horrible things that we are surrounded with, give it to God. This is what God has given us, the true remedies, the 8 laws of health, the water, the food, the air, the rest, temperance, exercise. But most of all, trust in God. Trust in God because He has the answers. He has given us the true remedies. And we can trust in Him because He is the truth, the way, life. We can trust in His remedies more than any other remedy out there. We can trust in His remedies. Don't you think? Who else can we trust more than God? So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope this has been beneficial. I put this presentation together so fast that I didn't put my website as I usually do. But you've seen it many times. It's healthfortoday.net. And as you know, in my website, I have the 10-day challenge. And you can go up to my website, healthfortoday.net, and click where it says 10-day challenge and download the PDF. And then you can do a 10-day challenge. Just like in the Bible, there's a story in Daniel chapter 1 of the young men who followed the plant-based diet given to us by God in chapter 1 of Genesis. And they did it too for 10 days. And in 10 days, you can see the difference between those who follow a plant-based diet and those who do not. I see it at work all the time. I've talked about this many, many times. In 10 days, you can see the difference. Follow a plant-based diet, do not follow a plant-based diet. You can see it in 10 days. So you can try it. I invite you to, okay, so Candy already has seen my website. Thank you, Candy. healthfortoday.net. All right. So thank you again for coming. Thank you, all of you who have been here today. Oh, somebody said fiber in the house. Fiber in the house. Yeah. Oh, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney. So thank you again for being here today. I hope this has been useful for you, this information. And I say again, beware what's out there, because I think there's going to be more and more and more stuff out there that we need to be very careful. There's going to be even miracles coming. We need to beware and only rely on the true remedies from God. And be very, very careful with what's out there, because the enemy is out there trying to deceive even the elect. Remember that. Okay? So let's finish with a word of prayer. And thank you again. I'll see you in 2 more weeks with another True Health Tuesday. Okay? So let's finish with word of prayer. Thank you, Father, for another opportunity to have True Health Tuesday and another chance to connect with our friends. And I ask you to be with every single person who has connected tonight. And thank you, Lord, for the wonderful health message you have given us and the opportunity to know the truth. Lord, give us wisdom and understanding so that we can always know and be able to discern the truth. And give us the ability to take this truth to other people so that we can be light to the world. And help us to take this message of health and healing to those who need to know it, need to heal, and that they can know that you are our God and Father and healer. Help us to be a light to the world and carriers of your message wherever we go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you again, everyone. See you in 2 weeks for True Health Tuesday. And please like this video and subscribe and share this message with everyone. Good night and God bless.